And what happens if somebody says God needs you? Well, that's not in the Masoret. That's not in the Torah. Yeah, but I think God needs you. I think God needs you. What if somebody says you don't have to listen to the Shulchan Aruch? That's just one opinion. You can listen to other opinions. Yeah, but the big rabbi said no. The big rabbi said you have to accept the Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, but I don't think so because I don't think so because I don't think so. So what happens to those people that go against the sages? Torah says at the time of the Sanhedrin, not today because we don't have a Sanhedrin unfortunately, but nonetheless at the time of the Sanhedrin, what would happen to those people? What would happen to a person that would make a rabbinical violation on purpose? A rabbinical violation. A lot of times people say, is this rabbinical, Rabbi, or is this a biblical mitzvah? I ask them all the time, why? Well, I don't know. If it's just rabbinical, then it's okay. So, do you understand what you're saying even? No. Oh, okay. Do you know what the punishment is for biblical mitzvah? Isn't it death penalty? Not always. Stealing is a biblical violation. Not allowed to steal. Not allowed to steal. If you're a Jew, you steal, you get caught, you have to pay double. You don't get killed. You don't get whipped. You have to pay double. If you don't get caught, but you hand the money back, you admit that you stole, that's it. You're finished. You absolved. You did TeShuva. But if you violate any rabbinical enactment, the iruv, death penalty. All rabbinical violations that you make on purpose, death penalty. And this is what it says in the Torah over here. And the man who will act with willingness, not listening to the Kohen who stands there to serve HaShem your God, or to the judge, that man shall die, and you shall destroy the evil from among Israel. Why is such a harsh punishment for a rabbinical violation? Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us. So the entire nation shall listen and fear, and they shall not act willfully anymore. There's a specific reason why Kadosh Baruch Hu gave power to the rabbis, power to the sages. Why? Without the sages having power, Am Yisrael will not survive a week. That's just a reality. All of the ups and downs we've had in Judaism throughout the last few thousand years, we always stayed with a few small communities that had strength. Why did they have strength despite the poverty and the famine and the disease and the anti-Semitism and the pogroms and the inquisitions and the Holocaust? Why? Because the rabbis had power. The rabbi said, Paskin, that's what we do. That's what we do, like good little babies. That's what we do. But then you're going to have the superheroes that want to reform. You're going to have the superheroes that want to reform, that want you to marry man and man, like two apes. They want you to marry woman and woman, like two rabbits. They want you to make everything kosher, including the pig and the camel and all the other forbidden animals. They want you to be able to, anybody decide who's converting, who's not, even if you don't even look Jewish, you don't act Jewish, and perhaps you're not even Jewish, but you want to decide who's going to convert, who's kosher and who's not. That's what the reformers want to do. Torah says people like that, at the time of the Sanhedrin, will get a death penalty. What about today? What do we do with them today? The Gemara in Masechet Bava Metzia says, don't worry. HaKadosh Baruch Hu already knew at the time he built the Bet HaMikdash, at the time he created the world, that the Bet HaMikdash will be destroyed. Am Yisrael will sin, and he has to destroy the Bet HaMikdash instead of destroying the people. But nonetheless, he already instituted a law ahead of time. The Torah is before the world. This law says, even if there isn't a Sanhedrin that will institute a death penalty, do not worry, the Gemara says. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu will institute death penalty. If you see an ox running over a person, that's the equivalent of stoning. You see a person falling off of a building collapsing somehow in the middle of the night, stoning. Burning in fire, that's the fire. You see a person drowning, that's the strangulation. All four measures of the death penalty that instituted in the Torah are still applicable even without a bed din. Only difference is, Hashem's the bed din that's going to institute the death penalty. There's the bet din here, but that bet din is limited because we don't have the Sanhedrin. But the Bet Din, the judgment itself, is never limited. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. And this week's parasha says something unbelievable. Unbelievable, Rabotai. Where it says over here, Rabotai, who's the biggest tzaddik initially? Who's the biggest tzaddik at the time? Obviously, it's the prophets, Moshe Rabbeinu. He's the king. Then it says in this week's parasha, if you guys want an actual king, aside from Moshe Rabbeinu, you want a king later on. This king has to be picked by HaShem. Now, this king is not picked because of how good looking he is, or how smart he is, or how nice his family is, or that his father's a rabbi. He himself has to be a tzaddik. And despite being a tzaddik, and a gadol, and kodesh kodeshim, he has to have a Sefer Torah with him at all times. Where it says here that he has to write for himself 2 copies of this Torah. 2 copies, 2 scrolls. He has to have 2 Sefer Torah. And it shall be with him. And he shall read from it all of his days of his life. All the days of his life. That he will learn to fear Hashem his God. To observe all of the words of this Torah and its decrees to perform them. Meaning even if he is the king, he has to learn the same shiur about Yirat Shamayim, the shiur about Gehenom, shiur about Tikkun HaBrit, shiur about fearing of the Almighty, just like everybody else on a regular basis. On a regular basis, has to learn about Yirat Shamayim. And even he himself has to be worried not to sin. Why? He has to learn this so his heart does not become arrogant over his brethren and not turn from the commandments right or left, meaning he himself has to comply with the rabbinical enactments. He himself has to comply with all of the Torah commandments.